Hi, everyone. Welcome, welcome, welcome. I mean, there's no safe places. Uh-oh. The news is trying to infiltrate our sacred space. I love that for us, this is like winter. And there's like half as many people here. I was like, oh God. So thank you for braving this weather. Very happy to be here. I know, exactly. This is really not bad. And yeah, happy to be back. I hope folks who came to see Philippe last week had a nice time. I heard he shared some beautiful, insightful wisdom. I'm Eve, for those of you who don't know me, and this is the Wednesday Well of Being, which to me kind of feels like a little island of sanity that we get to co-create together here on Wednesday nights. And we follow, in a very circular way, this book. For now, I realize I think we started in August, maybe, yeah, in August. And we're probably gonna finish it in a couple weeks. If this is your first night, no problem. It's been a beautiful journey, and this book really kind of highlights the linear, even though the path really isn't linear, but like linear steps towards awakening in a very accessible way. Tsoknyi Rinpoche is a Tibetan Buddhist, and he has taught a great deal around the world and really brings such a heartfelt and clear approach to these teachings. And we are making our way through further these practices of spacious open awareness or non-dual awareness. And these are kind of a deep refuge for the mind, heart, and body. However, it's really nice to kind of return to the core essence of where this book begins and where that clear light awareness kind of, not that it takes us there, but this element or aspect of clear light awareness is also just our own warm, loving hearts. And I think especially when the world is encroaching on us with quite a lot of difficulty, and for some of us that's like the greater world, and for others of us that's maybe our own personal lives or for those around us. And it can be hard to just relax into spacious open awareness, like just out the gate. It's really nice actually to ease ourselves in through what Tsoknyi Rinpoche calls essence love, and then Bodhicitta. So this evening, we're going to kind of reconnect, recommit, refresh our essence love Bodhicitta, and do that practice together. And then we will move forward with the instructions, what are called in the Dzogchen tradition, pointing out instructions. And they are pointing out the clear, already luminous nature of our mind, just as it is. And as some of you may remember, Tsoknyi Rinpoche's father, Tulku Urgyen Rinpoche, just incredible teacher. And he got his pointing out instructions from his father, which is so sweet. And so I'll remind us of some of those that we practiced 2 weeks and 3 weeks ago, and then kind of one more layer. And we'll probably do these practices for the next couple of weeks. It takes a while, sometimes for them to feel familiar, and it can be, yeah, such a great stability, actually. This open, spacious awareness. Last night in our small group discussion, we were talking about how sometimes compassion, even though it has such a beautiful, heartfelt quality, it can feel overwhelming. because it's like, here I am holding within me all the sorrows and doing my best to transmute them. But when it feels like they just keep coming, it can feel like the compassion almost gets overloaded. And then, what we really need in that case is often kind of this bright infusion of equanimity within our compassion. And though equanimity in and of itself is a beautifully complicated word, it's like we need a little bit of a bigger perspective, a more spacious view within that compassion. So we get this opportunity to really work with both. And tonight, especially, to kind of start with that loving heart and see how that can allow us to feel grounded and connected and present. And then maybe, considering or opening to that spacious awareness from that place of love and of connection. So I just talked us all in circles. I hope that was helpful. It's sometimes nice to circle around the fire before you sit down. You kind of got to see your way around. And, it really is such a beautiful circle, these teachings. And sometimes described, the two wings of the bird or the inseparability of compassion and emptiness. But my friend earlier today was like, what are you teaching tonight? I was like, what I teach every night. The inseparability of compassion and, emptiness or spacious awareness through all these different methods, through all these different stories, so that we can, again, become more familiar. So with that, just want to say for folks who are new here, to offer you a very warm welcome. Nice to have you. And this is, a community-run and volunteer-run center. So hopefully, even just in arriving here, you can feel this generosity that is actually the foundation of being here. Everybody who is here is actually engaging in great generosity to be here and to offer your presence with one another. And we have Jimmy at the door, so we are totally good. There sometimes are loud noises on this street, sometimes really, banging jams coming out of car windows. Less likely on a rainy night, but just if it's your first time here, kind of taking in the space in the center, letting yourself feel accustomed to this. And we're going to start the practice with what Tsoknyi Rinpoche calls touching into our essence love. And I want to give us a moment to try it before we practice it. At its most simple, he describes this essence love as a very basic sense of well-being. And if it is nurtured properly, it can actually allow us to feel a kinship with all other beings. The essence love is not something we are fabricating or generating. It's our deepest nature. Sometimes this is called our Buddha nature, and he calls it essence love because he feels like that term is a bit more inviting for various worldviews. But this idea, and this is not always easy for everyone, that there's part of us, the deepest part of us, which is always already good. How does that sound to people? Do you buy it? Is there, maybe there's been some muck, and other things that cover up, but is there a part of you that can feel, oh, no, just noticing that my compassion comes out? There's that part of us that's always already good, just that kind of, without needing anything, without, once I get this, I'll be good, or once this changes, I'll be good, but something that's actually not conditioned, that feels already good. Yeah? So if we just took one moment and brought attention and awareness inward, and not, again, like we're seeking something, but just that we're relaxing enough to notice this presence of essence love. And like you're holding something that's very delicate and gentle, like one of these cherry blossoms. So not trying to grasp onto it, just a very simple, gentle holding. And then maybe maintaining some connection with that, but blinking eyes back open to our shared space. Did anybody get a little glimmer? Yeah? Oh, I see a smile. That's good. And with the essence love, sometimes it's also described as a small, bright experience of okayness. So basic okayness is also another way essence love is described. So just very momentary. And, that touching into essence love, it's a really stable foundation for the rest of our practice. If we just kind of launch right into bodhicitta or to compassion without already touching what's good, sometimes we lose ourselves. Sometimes we get kind of uprooted. And this bodhicitta, which is the awakened heart, or the heart that aspires to awaken for all beings, there's a really beautiful thread we can follow of recognizing whatever is already heavy in our own hearts. So we touched that goodness that's always already here. And then we notice, okay, in addition to that which is already here and good, maybe even loving, what other weather systems are present? What's the weight, what's the ache of the heart? And not so that we then kind of hang out and spend a lot of time there, but so it can be a doorway through which we then extend our heart to other beings. So if the ache is grief, or the ache is anxiety, and especially if there's something specific, which for many of us there's a long list, but if we choose one thing and we let ourselves kind of feel that beautiful quivering of the heart, that aspiration to meet our difficulty or challenge, we can then extend it to all other beings who face a similar challenge. So it's kind of our gateway. So the essence love, the holding of our own struggle, and then the expanding outwards of that kind of yearning. And I really like that word, yearning or longing. It gives it a kind of poignancy that often we feel if we pay attention to this desire to be more free, this desire to be less encumbered. So I like to set up these practices and not go right in, because sometimes, we're given the prompt, think of something hard, and you're like, oh my God, there's so many hard things. Which one do I think of? So just giving yourself a moment. Is there something, and if something naturally arises in practice that you aren't thinking of now, but giving yourself a chance to consider, what would I like to hold with this bodhicitta? And then be able to extend to other beings who share this or are just like me. So, any questions before we get into the practice? And this will be a shorter practice. We're going to do the Dzogchen pointing out after we do this practice to settle in. But is that clear to folks? So I will guide you, but essence love, that core okayness, bodhicitta, this quality that we're kind of infusing to every part of our practice. And one thing Tsoknyi Rinpoche says in the book is, every practice is a practice of essence love. If we can allow ourselves to really feel that. And every practice also can bring us that sense of rest and ease. So let's go ahead and find a posture that feels supportive. For folks in chairs who've had long days, I highly recommend giving yourself a little space away from the back of the chair, coming to the front, just to help with wakefulness. And giving ourselves a bit of time to settle in. Finding this really nice upright spine in which actually the chin is just a little bit tucked. It allows the spine to have even nicer elongation, so the crown of our head makes an elegant line up to the skies above. And holding your hands, whether on your knees or folded in your lap, in a way that really allows the shoulders to feel at ease. And sometimes the description of this posture is almost like the vulture's wings. So bringing together the shoulder blades just a little bit in the back. You could even exaggerate it for a moment, kind of drawing the shoulders back and feeling that tightness and then relaxing. To get that open, spacious quality on the collarbones and the chest. And we may not shift anything, but feeling that the heart is also turned or lifted upwards towards the skies above. And softening through the belly. And for a couple moments, allowing our attention and awareness to move freely. If it wants to notice sound, it can notice sound. If it wants to notice sensation, sensation. Not really stopping anywhere, just allowing ourselves to gently scan all of our sense portals, what is felt and what is heard, maybe even seen as light behind closed eyes. And of course, thoughts and memories and images emerge. So now we can help gather the attention and awareness by bringing our focus just to the sense portal of sensation. So noticing the qualities of sensation throughout the whole body. And then further gathering our attention and awareness now, not just to the body, but to the specific sensations of breath in the body. Breathing in, feeling and sensing this breath entering the body. And breathing out, sustaining that feeling and sensing of the breath. We're not imagining the breath. We're really feeling it. And sustaining that experiential knowing of the breath through the inhale and the exhale. Thoughts come and go, no problem. Relax and release, and for just a bit longer here, keep coming back to this knowing of the breath. The breath breathing us, breathing in, sensing, feeling, knowing the breath. Breathing out, sensing, feeling, knowing the breath. And right here, can we notice this latent, always already here sense of basic okayness? Whatever the contents of the mind, the worries or the replays, the fantasies, just brushing them aside and instead noticing, is there something just core, not about who we are or what we do, just something that feels already okay, at ease, held in love. It'll change and likely dissipate, no problem. Come back to the breath for a moment and then try again, just bringing attention and awareness to this quality that's always already okay. Noticing when you do get a glimpse or a moment of this, what does it feel like in the body? Maybe there's a quality of just here-ness or stability. Maybe a sense of warmth or openness. And then very gently we'll shift and bring attention and awareness to whatever ache or tenderness there might be with the heart. Maybe it's something we've been carrying a while, maybe something that's new. It could relate to someone else in our life. It could be a limiting or critical belief we're holding about ourselves. It could be a worry about our physical, mental health, or resource, or even the state of the world. See if you can find and locate in the body where this ache can be most noticed. And with such gentleness, just being present with this ache. Considering what are the ways it really touches us. And maybe quite naturally, right here, there's a longing or yearning to be unburdened, supported. And seeing if we can meet that yearning, that desire to be less encumbered or less burdened, less achy. This simple heart of Bodhicitta, this caring heart. Allowing ourselves to recognize and be touched by tenderness or ache in the heart. And then letting ourselves be held in that very same heart. And the natural blossoming of bodhicitta invites us to extend and expand, imagining other beings who are also struggling just like we are, and including them in that holding of the heart. Keeping it simple. We don't need to have phrases or words in this moment, just this sense of longing and caring, this holding from within the heart, and radiating it to other beings just like us. For just a moment or two more, keep coming back whenever the attention gets diffuse or distracted. Just this sense of holding, care, generating this bodhicitta, this awakened heart, which really feels the longing to be free, and generates the compassion for that. And then releasing the images and the words, any concept or idea, and just allowing ourselves to freely breathe, feeling this body as a body, heart and mind infused with bodhicitta. Maybe touching that natural essence love. Thank you for your practice. So at the Dharma Collective here, we have this rare and precious opportunity to practice together and co-create community when we come together. And the teachings, they really come alive when we reflect on them and when we have questions or even just insights about our practice. So it's something that's very important in creating this Sangha. And it's so important for us to treat the way that we listen to one another and the way that we share as part of our practice. So that when we're sharing like, bless you, with bodhicitta, and really considering what we're offering into the room. And when we're listening, also listening with those ears of bodhicitta, listening to the already awake Buddha nature of whatever is being said. That allows the possibility for us to hopefully feel some ease in that sharing. So does that make sense to folks as we are asking questions or reflecting that we're really treating this as part of the practice? If we can't create that here, then we're going to be really struggling to find it in the world. So it's a great opportunity. Every night is slightly different, so we can't just rely on knowing each other. We have to really actively engage. Does that sound good to folks? Great. So for folks in the room with a question or reflection, we use the mic so friends online can hear. And friends online, raise a little hand or alert me somehow. That would be great. So any questions or reflections on that first practice together, or what did you notice? Especially if you're new to bodhicitta, that'd be so interesting to hear. What was that like? You're leaning forward.
Because I can't hear you very well.
Oh,
That's okay.
okay.
What did you say?
I said, if you're new to bodhicitta, what was this practice like?
I had a lot of.
Would you mind using the mic?
Sure, sure.
And could you say your name?
My name is Josh.
Hi, Josh.
I had a lot of thoughts while I was practicing with you all about all sorts of different things in my life and different feelings in my body and just the process of thinking and slowing down and so many different sensations and things in my life that I think about, and just it was very it was a very good thing just to do, just to slow down and take some time to just to slow down and take some time.
Yes, because those things, they're always there,
Yeah.
even if we don't close our eyes and take the time.
And I just wanted to take a second and say that I see a friend of mine on the computer too.
Aw, that's nice.
Yeah. Hi, Tammy.
They can't see you, because if you come into the middle, come into the middle, and then they can see you. Say, hi, Tammy.
What's up?
That's so sweet. And can I ask you, did maybe you weren't able to hear my instruction, so did you? Oh, yeah.
It wasn't as loud as maybe I needed, but
Yeah.
I think I followed it.
Yeah. And so did you feel that invitation towards warmth with yourself?
Yeah. I think I was able to, pick some pieces out of it the best I could.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because it's great to close your eyes and be present, and then also really nice to do the practice, right? And engage with that turning towards the self in that loving way. So just an invitation. We can turn it up next time so you can hear, but yeah. Thank you.
Yeah.
Anybody else? Maybe a reflection on the practice? Anything that arose? Yes, in the back. Oh, and Jackson, yeah.
Thank you. My name's Trevor. It was challenging to, I think, I've done practices similar to this, but I think trying to sense like goodness or basic goodness in myself, I think the mind immediately jumps to some kind of value or something, or like that I have some kind of inherent value, or that I'm a good person or something. But I actually liked, which sometimes I can feel that, and kind of in a self-compassionate kind of way. But I think when you mentioned, just basic okayness, that was helpful because, I'm always, I get overwhelmed sometimes by physical sensations, and I think I'm oftentimes worrying, about it's almost like an internal kind of like hypochondriac of like, oh, I'm worried about this feeling and this sensation, and that's, I'm worried and I want that to be different, or if my stomach hurt, it's like always wanting something to be different. But like the basic okayness is like, mind, heart, body.
Yeah.
It's like sensing that, okay, things are okay right now, and if I'm not worrying about, physical sensation, I'm worrying about a emotional pain, or I'm worrying about something. So I think that's helpful. Basic okayness or basic goodness, I think there's a lot there, but, and then sensing the kind of emotional pain was challenging because I'm not feeling that right now.
Yeah.
When I am feeling it, it's easy to sense. But I spend a lot of time, I try to make space for those feelings, but I spend a lot of time not wanting to feel those things.
Sure.
And so if I'm not feeling like it, and then I'm trying to conjure it or something, or I'm worried that if I, conjure that and then get overwhelmed, or it stays, because I've dealt with depression and stuff like that. It's like, okay, if I don't feel like that, I don't want to bring it up,
Yeah.
But yeah, I was able to kind of touch base with that, and then trying to like flip it outwards to other people was initially challenging, but then I realized like it wasn't like a two-step process. That like feeling the pain at the same time as like feeling others is kind of it wasn't like first you do this and then you do this. It's like kind of doing it at the same time and feeling that other people feel pain like that, and so feeling like the people in this room, share in a similar pain, know. So it's easier to connect the self-compassion to the compassion to others. But
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow. Really wonderful insights there. I love that were so able to clearly see that kind of somatic distress, which could also be a form of distraction and just agitation. Like, I don't like what I'm feeling in my body. It shouldn't be this way. Like, there's so many ways we distract away from presence, and it's for many of us like a habit, and it occupies it works in some way for us. That's why we, do it. But it also really can pull us away from that settled in. And I love that it sounds like there were moments where you could just be like, what if everything's already okay? What if all of the thoughts and the feeling, what if they're all okay? Like that's when that comes not as me telling you, but like as a feeling, there's a real like exhale possible. You're just like, oh, right. That might be possible at any moment. Okay. And then and then it like reanimates itself. I love that noticing. And yeah, I mean, I think a lot of us spend quite a lot of time not feeling difficult feelings, which is completely reasonable because there's a lot of them. And if we did let all of them in at the same time, it could feel quite overwhelming. And so it's interesting to, I do think of the practice as this little laboratory, and we can take like a little homeopathic dose. You take homeopathic dose in order to strengthen your immunity. I've mentioned before, I'm very allergic to fire ants and yellow jackets. So tomorrow is my monthly little homeopathic dose to keep me. And so it's like, can I open a little bit to the pain, enough to get the heart exercising compassion for myself and others so that I don't lose touch with the heart? Because the thing is, when we push away and avoid and deny too much, we actually we lose that ability to feel. We've kind of pushed it away. And it's interesting, when we have that sense, maybe we have a free hour or two or evening, and we're like, what do I feel? Like, I don't even know anymore, right? I have all this space for a moment to feel it, and I'm not even, we can really lose touch with it. So it's so beautiful in these practices to kind of titrate a little and like use the laboratory of meditation as a way to experiment. Like, can I open to this? Can I be with this? And I also really trust your deep knowing from your own path with, depression or big feelings of this is not the right time to open, right? Everybody's practice is their personal practice, and we all have sovereignty. I will guide, but then it's great to really feel like, nah, I'm not there. Like, I'll open to this a little bit. So, yeah. Thank you, Trevor. Jackson, did you have a reflection, question, comment?
Yeah, I have a theory question. I guess I keep getting stuck on this idea of deserving. Like when you're talking about having it, like you said that love is not love is not really a good translation of what that feeling is. But I was thinking about making dinner last night and buying my 2 16-ounce tubs of tofu, and they're number 5 plastic and they go in the trash. And I have this. That I guess that's a little existential. I'm sort of like revealing my neurotic cards, but
Safe place for that.
I guess I feel bad about feeling okay. Like
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
probably on average not good for this planet,
Yeah.
and I guess why I have this fear that like this is just an altered state of mind. Like we are just tricking ourselves into feeling okay, and in actuality maybe we should not.
Yeah.
We don't deserve that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a great line of inquiry. Can I ask you another? So it's like such a good line of inquiry. I had a conversation earlier today with someone who said, I don't understand why I should feel joy. Like, that doesn't seem reasonable. Like, look at what's going on in this world. And then, the interesting question is, what purpose would it serve to feel not deserving?
Okay.
I think, and like, you don't need to answer it, but just to like, it's not as though there's a kind of so We talked a little bit last weekend about the hedonic, eudaimonic, right? The kind of sense of well-being that is purely what we get from the world, that hedonic, stimulus-driven enjoyment, which is great. This is really delicious tea. I love chocolate cake. It's nice to have hedonic enjoyments, but that's not the kind of goodness. Like we're looking for the eudaimonic form of well-being, which is, this is a term from Plato of what is it that we offer to the world. And so, that kind of goodness, that kind of sense of, almost reciprocity, that's how we were thinking of at least the joy piece. Like, I don't want to feel this temporary fleeting joy. Like the practice of especially empathetic joy is this more sustainable recognition of goodness, and the goodness of others and what we can offer. And then basic goodness is, it's not the I'm good enough, I'm smart enough, and gosh darn it, people like me. It's not a self-esteem kind of goodness. It's a just like everyone else, I'm good, right? And flawed. And, it's so powerful, the Dzogchen view of everything already perfect, not as a bypass, but as a way to overcome that feeling that we need to honestly deserve in order to be on a spiritual path. Like the opening is, and, from a purely functional utilitarian point of view, when we feel that sense, which is very reality based of I am probably worse for this planet than good for this planet. That's not inaccurate. And then it's okay, given that truth, how can I be in this world, which is incredibly flawed, in a way that feels aligned with certain values? Because by saying that, even that recognition of, I'm creating this trash that will live longer than my great-grandchildren, how can I be with this? There's so much compassion in that clear seeing. So it's kind of following the thread of wow, I really sense the difficulty of this human predicament on this planet in this time, and then not shutting down and not collapsing and not succumbing to overwhelm and staying open. That's the whole thing. And it's hard to stay open. So I think that basic goodness is an invitation to look at, without those judgments and self-protections, is there an inner wellspring of goodness? And it's actually very good for the planet. Because if we have a sense of inner goodness, then our excessive acquisition and material needs will subside. So basic goodness is good, sustainable fuel. So that's my philosophical retort. And we can talk about it again another time. Thank you. Yeah. Who relates to that question, though, of wow, yeah, I'm definitely not, this is not a benevolent relationship with our planet, with this world. How can I be? Yeah. Yes, I saw a hand online. We will unmute you. With 2 hands online. Yeah. Okay. I see Diane looking intently to help unmute people. Great. All right, we don't hear
Maria,
you,
you
though.
should
Is
be
our
able to unmute. Maria, you should be able to unmute now.
I think I am unmuted.
There we go. Great. We can hear you.
Okay. Sometimes these earbuds work, sometimes they don't. And then, there's other technologies. So, anyways, that last comment made me think of hallelujah, anyways, as a. This practice, coming back to that, was well suited for an experience that I had today with a mentor of mine. And I've had a mixed relationship with the bonsai community here. It's been very challenged. And he is a longtime beloved person in that community. He's 88 now. And he and his wife have always, no matter what was going on, held me like I was essentially good. They've always seen that in me and held me that way. And I sort of just brought this experience into the practice, and there was just a ton of tenderness there. I was there with really wanted me to stay and let him tell me about all. He has 300 trees. He wanted me to let him talk to me about the trees and, life. I was in a hurry, kind of. And so he's 88. I haven't seen him in a while. It was just like this whole mono no aware moment of everything fleeting and impermanence and this tenderness. And he was just love. It was just so much love. And it made me feel like, at that age, that's what's important. Like people at that age are wise enough to see that that's what we should be doing. So trying to stay present with him and just, be compassionate about the whole thing. And so I brought that in and I feel it. I was trying to figure out where I feel it. It's always like, it's like a whole body, but it's centered in this area, but there's like a pressure where I'm almost gonna cry, and I can't identify of that. I don't know what that is. It's just like maybe my heart mind,
Yeah. Yeah. And you are right that your AirPods are a little weird, so let me make sure I understand you. I think what I understood is one of your mentors in the bonsai community was like really showing up with such loving presence. And it was, it's interesting because sometimes, we get that essence love through benefactor practice, through remembering those who have like supported us on our path. Like that can be a real instigator, and it naturally came for you, which is so nice. Because I did mention, essence love as though you were held in love. That idea that we could actually rest and relax because we're held. That is such a quality of that feeling. Like I love a bright sparkle of okayness. Like I'll take that. But then if we can go to that, like, wow, like I'm loved. And it's not from out there, like I'm loved. And it's not for something I did or didn't do. It's a very unconditional experience, but sometimes that can be a conduit through people who are present with us in that way. And I think if we have wise and resourced elders in our lives who show us that, it's like beautiful.
and his wife so much too. So yeah, it was just very, very nice and really nice to bring into the practice.
Yeah, thank you so much. And Diane, I saw someone else also had their hand. Yeah, in my screen, they're top
Um,
right.
yeah, Brianna had put something in
Yes.
the chat and she didn't want
Oh,
to be able to in the recording, but is it okay? May I read that? She wanted me to read this.
sure,
Okay. She said, my question is he familiar with the non-dual teacher Adyashanti? I discovered
sure.
him this week, and some of his teachings have caused some confusion for me. I think that
Yeah,
because
sure.
I am not understanding the teachings, I oh, it's confusing for me because perhaps I'm not understanding the teachings. I have been reading his book, The Direct Way, and watching videos on YouTube. If Eve is familiar with this teacher, could she speak a bit about how those teachings may align or contrast with the teachers like Tsoknyi Rinpoche? I heard
Yeah.
Eve term
Um,
him as non-dual teacher as well. I don't know how to explain this well. I guess my understanding of what
yes.
Adyashanti teaches is that we are simply awareness. If I understand it correctly, I feel like he speaks of this sort of direct path to enlightenment, or that we need to let go of the notion that enlightenment is hard, and I am just feeling confused with it all.
Yeah, confusion's good. No problem. Really, especially with non-dual teachings, I would just say relax into the confusion. Yeah. I don't really want to get into a comparison thing with teachers. I don't think it'll serve the greater room here, but I would say relax into the confusion. And Adyashanti is a beautiful teacher and has many resources online. And yeah, take it slow. Sometimes he can, bless you. Sometimes people can go too quickly with those types of teachings. So rest in the confusion, don't push too hard. Yeah. Okay, and then I saw another hand. Tammy, hi there. I think we're unmuting you here. Oh, try one more time. There we go.
I think that worked.
Yeah, hi there.
Hi there. Thanks so much for tonight. I really appreciate it. I just very quickly wanted to just mention something that I noticed when I was doing the practice this evening, was that when you said the words or phrase, where are you feeling any kind of discomfort or pain? It was really interesting for me because I initially was thinking of like physical pain, and I was scanning my body and I realized that the pain that I was feeling was actually emotional pain. And that became very clear to me, like all of a sudden when I realized that the pain was actually in my head, you know? So
Yeah,
then I was able to sort of understand it. So that was very helpful.
great. Yeah, and a lot of, in this book, you know, a lot of his work is on the subtle body that we've been covering these first chapters, that there is this energetic, emotional layer in the body that we can become attuned to, and that helps us recognize the areas where our difficult emotions can get blocked from repeated suppression and overwhelm. So it's, if you can notice it in the practice and just do nothing but notice, Tsoknyi's instructions are, it will naturally, unwind, unspool if we don't interfere with why is it happening, shouldn't be this way. So kind of back to Trevor's question, like, can we let the feelings be as they are, not interfere, and just hold them with that loving presence? So that's great, Tammy. Thank
Thank
you.
you. Appreciate it.
Yeah, yeah. Okay. So, any other questions before? Yeah, please.
I guess I'm not entirely sure how to phrase the question, but I was just wondering what the relationship between the basic okayness and then the feeling of love, which is almost like this like yearning,
Yeah.
which isn't quite basic okayness.
Yeah. Yeah. It's a really
So
good
maybe,
question.
like,
Yeah.
what is the interplay between those
Yeah.
two, or like?
Yeah. And what was your name?
Oh, I'm Tony.
Tony. What was your direct experience of the relationship between the two, if you noticed in practice?
I guess the basic okayness. Well, it was both. Essentially, it was both a contraction and like a widening of awareness. It was very so low for me, and that allowed me to kind of expand my awareness.
Yeah,
But
cool.
then the yearning was almost like a little bit. I don't want to say like painful,
Yeah.
because that has negative connotations, but that feeling
Yeah.
of like, and like expanding that
Yeah.
to
Yeah. Yeah.
individuals, and then trying the world, or
Yeah.
like very charged and
Yeah. Yeah.
potentially painful, but in a good way. I don't know.
Yeah, I think that's a really good inquiry. And also to the point made earlier of like the tears that can arise in practice. I think that those tears were really that just overflowing of the heart, kind of the Dharma tears of like, wow, I'm just alive and I'm here and I'm full. I think what you're describing is a really, it's kind of the whole kind of, it is like the eye of the needle that we're trying to thread. So that feeling of being both here and expansive with basic goodness, like great, right? Like because I'm established here, I can open this way. And then the yearning is not about it could be like a yearning to return to that basic goodness, like a yearning to be home, But the truth is, like, Four Noble Truths, actually, that there are these forms of suffering that are arising all the time. And so we see it, and in order to kind of actually step one is even seeing it and recognizing all these different ways that we lose ourselves. And Tsoknyi and many other teachers describe this coming back to essence love as just a simple remembering that we're already that. And so it's how do we, can feel the love and then make space for everything that's here, and not like, that shouldn't be here, this is wrong, but can we kind of thread the both, right? I have this deep established knowing of my basic goodness and okayness, and then I have my sibling and my colleague and the newspaper and all these things that, are truly sources of difficulty or misunderstanding or confusion. Can I, actually long to come back to myself? Like, the longing isn't for out there, the longing. And then when we feel the presence of other people's struggles and difficulty, like, our longing is also for them to come home. When we did the Guide to the Bodhisattva Way of Life for 18 months, which I can't wait for us to do again. We might wait another year or two, but such a beautiful text all about, that ability to feel so full with your own sense of okayness that its natural overflow is a desire for everyone to feel it too. Like, that being the true bodhicitta is my heart's so full with recognizing my own goodness. Of course, that's what I want everyone to feel. It's so beautiful, so yeah. Thank you, Tony. Yeah. Okay. So I'm going to read just a little bit. Some of it is a rereading, just as a reminder for folks. And so we have the bodhicitta, that established sense of care and loving. We have that basic goodness. And, then this opportunity for the beauty and freedom of spacious awareness. And non-dual awareness sounds very fancy, but it's really simply when we are looking out there, we are aware, shapes, colors, movement, things, and then we can bring awareness here and be aware of what's happening inside, and then we drop any difference between looking out here and looking in here. It's very, very simple, almost deceptively simple. You're it's got to be different. There's got to be more, and it's no. It's really loosening the subject-object. And I want to mention a kind of, warning label risk. This is threatening to our sense of self and ego. And so it can create some confusion, and not just confusion, like someone was mentioning on the chat. It can make a little bit of anxiety. Wait, there's no out, there's no in here, there's no one in between. It can shake us in a good way, but just to say that can occur. And it can also lead to great bliss. So that's a nice other warning label on the package. And the purpose isn't the bliss. The bliss is just that you're unblocked. The bliss isn't oh, now you get this great thing. The bliss is just that everything, is flowing at that subtle body level. And you're no longer, if we pay attention to our thoughts and really note them and pay attention and note them, it's the same goddamn material over and over. It's all about us, right? And when we're not focused on that, there's a lot of vital energy that's available. All of that, or a lot of our vital energy, is just getting captured by our neurotic self-preoccupation. Does that sound familiar? Anybody? And that's why we're here, right? So it's we know, and we have some sense that we are creating the conditions for our own unhappiness often, or adding a lot of unhappiness. And so when we have that It's funny, all my hand motions. I don't know, where is awareness? Um, but it does have that quality, like I love, Ram Dass has this beautiful quote about awakening. It's like feeling as though you're taking off a shoe that just doesn't fit. Like you're coming into who you really are. Not someone else, not something else, just this much more natural sense of being. And so that non-dual spacious awareness is our, according to these traditions, and again, see for yourself, like that is our natural state of being. So that's the kind of promise. And yeah, so I've mentioned this before. I said Dzogchen. So Dzogchen is made up of two words, Zog, a contraction of the noun Dzogpa, which means perfect or perfection, Chen, which means great or vast. And I love his description here. He says, on a subtler level, Dzogchen means everything is included, nothing is left out. He said, imagine sitting in a room looking out through a small window and you only see part of the landscape. And maybe you can see some buildings or other things around you, or maybe just a brick wall. And then you go outside and you see everything. Like it's this opportunity, like everything is included. Nothing is left out. And it often has kind of that quality, that being on the top of a mountain quality, like panoramic view, and I got to teach with a dear friend, Alejandro Chaul, last weekend, or maybe last weekend. And he says, nothing can destroy space. Everything can move through space. You can't, hurt it. And so we make our mind kind of merge with space, and then everything can move through. Our sensations, our thoughts, even, weird little mind movies, but nothing is holding it back. So we get that spacious open awareness and that quality of, infinite possibility, actually. So Tsoknyi's father saying, looking at, they're doing this first practice, they're looking out the window and they look at the clouds, and his father says to him, are the clouds good or bad? And Tsoknyi says, well, they may be good for some people because it gives them shelter from the sun. But maybe for some people, they might think they're bad because it might mean rain, which will make them uncomfortable, or pour down too much water on the crops that are growing. And his father says, exactly. Good, bad, happy, sad, these are relatively true qualities, depending on circumstances. They aren't absolutely, intrinsically true qualities. On an absolute level, they're just labels for experience, which the mind creates, and then we cling to as part of ourselves and our experience. They aren't good or bad, they're like those clouds floating through space. The problem is our tendency to believe wholeheartedly in those labels, which is like trying to hold on to clouds in space or wishing they would go away. So this idea of like the contents of mind that we're held onto so much, we identify with so much, they block us from that spacious, open quality. And I know this is not a new analogy, probably for many of you, but to really kind of take in that opportunity to see the sky beyond the clouds, right? That's the real invitation of this practice. And part of it is we have to really recognize the ever-changing nature of the contents of our mind, and just that it'll come and go, that impermanence, that always coming, always going, always changing. Because so much of what emerges in our mind feels like extremely important, like urgently important right now. So it's like that ability to see through, like we don't get worked up. Like it comes and we're like, yeah, that thought again, that made me miserable 5 minutes ago. Here it is again. Like, am I good enough? Did I do it right? Does someone like me or not? Like, whatever is the content. Just seeing it through without feeling like that thought is true, that thought is me. Because it's in my mind, it's real, and I got to pay attention to it. Again, this is very foundational, kind of Buddhist practice, but to be able to glimpse that sense of true infinite openness, of non-dual practice, we actually have to really see through that kind of masquerade of the thoughts that are moving through and be like, yeah, they're not. What else? Often described as looking behind the veils. Not just the thoughts that arise, but the awareness that's the space from which they arise. So much talking about a practice. Should we give it a try? So I'm going to invite us to do, a really simple version of this practice. Next week we'll do actually like a somatic version of it that Tsoknyi offers. It's called this like dropping down. In this case, we're going to really kind of allow ourselves to settle in by feeling what he calls the immovability of body, so really grounding our body, immovability of sensation, allowing ourselves to be with whatever sensation arises, and then immovability of mind, allowing whatever arises in the mind to just pass through. And then we'll bring that sense of the awareness that's looking out, the awareness that's looking in, and then dropping the distinction. So there's your roadmap. So take a moment. We'll do this. Won't even tell you how long, but it will be short. Okay. So I'm so glad that someone told me about voice because I really want folks to hear me. So is there anyone who in this voice can't hear me? Just raise your hand. Okay, I'll keep at this level. Bringing attention and awareness to the body by following the next breath fully. And continuing to follow the breath and connect with this quality of stability and groundedness of the body. So feeling the whole body as we're breathing in and the whole body as we're breathing out. And a sense of the ground rising up to support this body and our body being fully held. Stable, strong, immovable like the mountain. And sensations arise in the body, of course. Sensations associated with the breath, also with subtle feelings or emotional residue. And allowing ourselves to simply let the feelings be felt not running away from them, not embracing them, whether pleasant or unpleasant, just allowing a sense of immovability, even with feelings. Everything can move through freely. Grounded and stable in the body, fluid and flexible with the ever-changing nature of feelings, but not getting carried away. And just keep coming back whenever the mind gets carried away or diffuse. Just coming back to the sense of the body, stable, grounded. Noticing these sensations shifting and changing without needing to follow them or push them away. This curiosity, this gentleness of noticing. And then noticing now the movement of mind, the thoughts that arise and move and shift without energizing, without getting carried away with these thoughts. This immovability of mind means we're resting in awareness while noticing the shifting, changing nature of thoughts and mental images, memories and imagination. And of course, sometimes the thoughts will carry us away, no problem. But for just a bit longer, coming back, establishing ourselves in awareness, and allowing these thoughts and memories and images to just move through. So feeling that possibility of this groundedness of body, even with the movement of sensation. And this groundedness of awareness, even with the movement of mind. And for a moment, just very gently allowing the eyes to be slightly open, taking in the color and light around us. Aware of everything that we see outside of us. And then gently blinking the eyes shut and bringing all that awareness inside. And then just simply dropping any distinction between awareness outside and awareness inside. As best we can, relaxing into, leaning back into spacious awareness. This continued process of deep existential relaxation, openness. Everything can move through, everything included, nothing left out. But our attention isn't landing anywhere. Feeling awareness above us, awareness below us, awareness all around us, within us. And considering for a moment, is basic goodness here? Even in these glimpses and moments of spacious open awareness, is that quality of our okayness, is that also here? And very gently, regathering attention and awareness to the breath and the body. Feel the whole body breathing in. Feel the whole body breathing out. Noticing the quality of mind, heart, and body. Thank you for your practice. So, I'd love to hear any questions or reflections. Yes, Noemi.
I've been working with the subtle body
Mm.
and the glad sitting, and actually before the first one. When you were giving the instructions about sitting, and I found that really difficult, and my subtle body, it's hard to be in touch with because I think because of my cerebral palsy, I hold my body a certain way. And it seemed really tense all the time. And it's really, and I'm beginning to be okay. It's like, that's the way I hold my body. Actually, a student once yelled at me for having such a tight body. But I have a tight body. And no matter what I try to do, it's always going to be tight. I feel it in my spine. And so, so thank you for that. And I think my question is, with the tight body, I think I am in touch with the subtle body more. And on the other hand, I feel if the tightness blocks the subtle body.
Yeah, it's a really good question, Noemi. I think there's no reason why the tightness would block the subtle body, right? Because it's not at all about the form body.
Yeah.
But I do think, obviously our mind and body, physical body, are very connected. So the tightness might also create just a tightness in the mind, right? So that existential relaxation, I think even with a non-tight body, many of us contract right when we don't know what's happening, or when a thought comes. So it's like, what's that, continuing to lean back in the subtle body, which might be, you might have extra work to do with it. And, because you are so aware of the form body already, I think you'll be able to really notice shifts in the subtle body.
Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah. Yes, Mackenzie.
I have a question, kind of explain how I got there. So when you had us open our eyes and looking around, of course, I saw other people, but I also saw inanimate objects. And I kind of got distracted by a question that was just like the non-dual idea. It's easier for me to understand that I'm connected with all other beings, like all other people, animals, plants even, but like the rug, I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm feeling like a little bit like confused about
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
So can you say more about
Yes, great question. And it's interesting because I haven't really thought of like non-dual and like animism so much, of like everything having an alive nature or spirit. But really, it can still be an object. It's just you are not, there's no longer someone who's focusing on the object. So it's more about where you're seeing it from than the actual quality of person, object, sky, rock. I do think, because it's interesting, you're like intuiting that there's a sense of connection possible when we rest in that spacious awareness. Not necessarily what we're looking for, but often when we're not quite so caught up in maintaining this, identity structure, then indeed there is a more open, connected feeling. But you don't have to feel the aliveness of the rug.
Yeah, that's helpful.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I've had experiences where, well, I'll just say like using psychedelics or something
Yeah.
like that, where like you definitely feel connection with other beings. And
Yeah.
so I think maybe I was projecting a little bit
Right.
of like that type of experience
Yeah.
onto the concept, but it's a little bit different, it
Yeah.
sounds like. And so
And it's almost like a step along the way, with psychedelics, full ego dissolution, you're also not thinking about other beings. You just are. There's this like almost, it's interesting. The non-dual moment is almost like a gasp. You're like, and then you come back to yourself and the world. But then it's like, stabilizing in it for most of us doesn't happen that often for that long. But when we do, it almost feels like the train got on its tracks, and it just is like we're not even like, I should be doing it. It's just like we're in the practice, which is beautiful.
cool.
Yeah,
Thank you.
thanks. Oops, sorry guys. I got a little, I was having fun in that practice and I took us a little long. Yeah, just I really appreciate everybody's willingness, and interest in coming here, and B, trying these different types of practice on and seeing what they feel like. So I encourage you to keep trying them on, and let's dedicate the merit of our time together. So if this is unfamiliar to you, it's a symbolic gesture and offering of Bodhicitta. So if it feels natural, you can put hands in front of the chest in that symbolic gesture of offering. And it's almost like we're scooping up all of this energy and effort and intention in order to then offer it, imagining that this energy and intention and effort could radiate out in great waves and contribute to the possibility that all beings everywhere could be free from the true causes of suffering, that all beings everywhere could know deep love and belonging, that all beings everywhere could feel free. So nice to be with you all. Happy to be back.